Hello everyone and welcome to this month's webinar, Better Nutrition Fuels Better Health with Ashley Koff RD. March is National Nutrition Month and Ashley will be sharing her tips and insights on how we can all get and keep better health. There'll be a Q&A at the end of the webinar, so please send in any questions that you might have. This webinar will be on Ashley's YouTube page and website if you want to check it out next week. So Ashley, over to you.
Thanks, Matt, and happy Better Nutrition Month, everyone. It's March, and gosh, I have had the best time this month being able to talk to people about what better nutrition is and isn't. As somebody who got involved with nutrition and how it impacts our health probably about 25 years ago on my own personal quest, I think it is just totally awesome where we are today. I know many people feel very frustrated by their health or by trying to figure out what it is they should and shouldn't have. And the great news is that we can put that frustration at bay because we know what better nutrition is and isn't. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So thank you for joining. And as always, thank you to my Ashley Koff approved partners. I just wouldn't get to do what I get to do without them, and I'm really grateful. And I also, in particular, as we talk about better nutrition, fueling better health, I want to remind you that they are my better health tools, my better health enablers. So Manitoba Harvest, if you don't know about hemp foods, these are the folks that taught me about hemp foods. They brought hemp into my life. And they continue to help me make better nutrition choices by the addition of hemp foods. If you have any questions about this, I also did a Facebook Live specifically on this, and that's also on my Facebook. I also have a hemp menu that helps you. It's got 7 days worth of hemp eating occasions, hemp nutrition pit stops, anything ranging from things like just tossing some hemp seeds on top of your oatmeal instead of adding fruit, and so you get better nutrient balance and you also get great taste, all the way to making hemp pesto and better smoothies and all these delicious things. And they just keep popping up with great new products like the hemp heart toppers and the hemp heart, the toasted hemp hearts, and just a huge fan, and you will be too after this webinar. Natural Vitality, they help me get and stay calm. The thing is today, our lives are, and I feel this particularly for myself, my life is wonderfully stressful. When I think about stress, I actually think about it in really great ways. Sure, I have my moments where, I'm trying to get a million things done and the clock is ticking, or I'm stuck in traffic and I was just wishing that I could, walk or transport myself there. But more often than not, my stress is actually of my own making and is really because I'm getting to do awesome things. So whether it's, giving a presentation or speaking in front of a group or doing television or really stepping it up. I've been boxing and I'm enjoying doing that. And I'm also playing the trumpet, which can be really stressful as I try to hit those high notes. But my body needs to turn off that stress. And that's where calm, magnesium, and in particular, a highly bioavailable form, that magnesium citrate, I love it in the powdered form, whether it's taking it, drinking it as I do each night or when I'm traveling, or in the powdered form as in a bath. I put Calm Bath into my bathtub last night and just sat in there post-workout and also post a little bit of a stressful day. So it's great in that way. And then certainly also Calm Cream. So the transdermal way is a great way, reminding us, and especially if you have any questions about skincare and the different creams and things that we put on our body, we also have the Better Beauty webinar that you can learn more about that from. But the idea that you can get magnesium into your body in so many different ways is really critical because 70% of us are not even meeting our baseline RDA, the recommended daily allowance. And that's going to be a big problem for you and for any of us, because magnesium is meant to be inside of all of our cells in order to turn off our stress response. So many wonderful things to talk about with Natural Vitality. I'm also the nutrition editor for their magazine, Calmful Living. So great things to check out. true broc. So broccoli is my favorite food. I know it's probably a crime for a dietitian to pick a favorite food. We're supposed to probably love all foods equally. But as a little, as a girl, I was curly haired and quite adventurous and wild. And so I probably feel very akin to broccoli. But broccoli, in those florets, there's so many great nutrients. There are also great nutrients in the leaves. But one of the nutrients in the florets is glucoraphanin, and glucoraphanin becomes sulforaphane in the body, and it helps upregulate phase 2 detoxification, and you don't need to know any of that. What you need to know is that in today's world, just like stress happens and we want to just be able to turn off stress more often, we also know that toxins happen, whether they happen because of the normal processing of our how our body uses up things like hormones and they need to be eliminated, or whether it's happening because of exposure to chemicals in the air and in our food and just in our environment. And the great news is our body is designed to get rid of those. And so that detoxification is going to happen, and it happens by way of broccoli. And so what we need to do is we need to get in that glucoraphanin more often. So I eat broccoli most days. My dog eats it. He is actually perfect. I just strive for better, not perfect. So Rerun eats broccoli every day, and I get in my broccoli as often as I can. But one of the ways I fill in the gap is by having glucoraphanin either in my brassica tea and coffee, which you can learn more about also on my website under the partners and offers section, and go to their website. You can get I think a sizable discount. And also in supplements. So I take like Ultra Broc or other Oncoplex or other supplements that have the glucoraphanin in it. And then Nature's Path, my friends on my Better Path, Nature's Path Organic really have been my teachers about organic farming, about nutrient resource and soil. They helped introduce me to the Rodale Institute. And if you want to know more about that, we have an upcoming podcast. So make sure to check out Take Out with Ashley and Robin, because I think next week or the week after anyway, by the time this webinar is up, it should be close to time to learn more about organic farming from Jeff Moyer. And also last month or last week, a couple of weeks ago, we had Arjun, the vice president from Nature's Path, on there to talk about what he's learned from his family, third generation organic farmers and organic, running this organic food company. But they also are my partners in the #1 commandment of better nutrition. And we will look at that and you'll understand as we go into those why I think Nature's Path is really making the path to better nutrition and a really comfortable one for all of us to walk down. So with all of that said, thank you to my partners again. I am going to continue on with the task at hand. Okay, so what do we want? How can we get and keep it? And then I'd love to take you through a couple of case studies, my Ashley Cuff approved case studies, and then we'll get into your questions. Okay, so what do we all want? We all do not want better nutrition. What we want is what better nutrition fuels. It fuels better health. And when I'm on stage and I ask people what do they want, and then I say, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I want better health. And I say, how are we going to get it? And it's like, there's a bit of silence in that way. It's like, I think maybe it could be paleo or it could be vegan or it could be, and I get all these different answers. And the reality is we know what better nutrition is and isn't. And here's what it is. More often, and that's why the arrow is the way that it is, more often what we choose to eat, what we choose to pop, as in pills, potions, all of our supplements, what we choose to sip, and what we choose to apply, when we make those choices more often, that is going to deliver us better total nutrition. And what we choose to avoid more often is also going to be part of what delivers us better nutrition, because better nutrition is about making better, not perfect choices more often. It's not about being perfect. So how can we get better nutrition? Well, we can choose these things more often. And remember, they apply to our supplements, the things that we apply to our body. So that might be our skincare, or I was just talking, it might be some of our supplements, like I was talking about the Natural Calm Cream. They apply to our beverages. They apply to certainly the food that we eat. So it's all of those things. And these are the things that we want to be looking for. We do want to choose organic more often. We want to choose kitchen processed more often. We want to choose whole or closer to the whole food form more often. We want to choose plants more often, nutrient balance, and quantity. So I want to dive into each one of those and talk a little bit about what it is that we want to choose more often, because that's really going to be what fuels our better nutrition. So when I talk about organic, people are like, well, do I really need to choose organic? Or I might even hear from people like, come on, organic, does it, if it says organic, is it really organic? And so here's the thing. Yes, if the USDA organic logo is on it, it is legally meant to be organic. Now, could somebody illegally use an USDA organic logo on their food or on their dietary supplement? Absolutely. Could they use the word organic? Even more likely that they could use that. But the organic standard is exactly that. It's a standard and a regulation. It is not a marketing term. So notice that I did not put the word natural up here or all natural, because that's not something I'm looking for you to choose more often. What I'm looking for you to choose when I talk about organic, I am saying that I want you to choose something that from the time of seed selection all the way through how the soil is managed, if soil is involved, all the way through to what arrives on your plate or arrives into your freezer, that entire pathway is governed by choices of what tools are allowed to be used and what tools are not allowed to be used. And that is where we get our better today. That's what we're looking for. Better, not perfect. So organic is not perfect. And you know what? It's not meant to be, because I worry very much that as we look at the availability of different resources, whether it's water, certainly clean water, whether it's soil, like all of these different things, the Organic Standards Board, which evaluates ingredients every 5 years, an ingredient is evaluated. And in that evaluation, what they're looking at is not just, is something going to be okay right now, but is it going to be okay? Is it going to be a better choice? And as a result, get the organic standard for the next 5 years, at least, until it's reevaluated. And I think we have to think about our better nutrition that way. It's not a screenshot. It's not like, okay, let me capture this in this moment. It's really about what's going to be better over the course of the next 5 years. And there could be changes, if there was a huge drought, or if there's, something, if temperatures are too hot or too cold or these sorts of things, we need to know that our farmers have a way to grow things that is still going to be better for you, better for them and their families, better for the land, better for the water, better for the earth, better for the atmosphere, better for the planets we haven't visited yet. Okay, I might be going too far on that one. But anyway, that's what I mean by organic. Kitchen process is a term that I've worked quite some time to come up with, because I sometimes say, is it made in is it food or is it made in a chemistry lab? And I like saying that, but then I get people who say to me, well, there are things made in a chemistry lab that are actually pretty natural, or they're, so I just started to say, let's look a little bit deeper. What am I really talking about when it comes to processed, right? When people say, how processed is your food? So I would like your food to be whole more often, but that isn't a reality for all of us, and sometimes it doesn't even make sense. I actually don't need you to eat a shaft of wheat. I don't need you to eat the whole broccoli plant, although you could eat the whole broccoli plant, roots, stem, leaves, all of it. And then some people will say, well, I really like a juice, or I want to blend something, and maybe I want to purchase something that's been already blended, or maybe I want to purchase something that has been concentrated for protein, or any of these things. So my rule of thumb, and the best term I think we can use, is kitchen processed. And kitchen process means not are you actively doing this in your kitchen, but given the right tools, could you actually do this in your kitchen? And that's what we want to guide ourselves with. So yeah, if you had a blender, you can do certain things. If you have a blender and a cheesecloth, you can extract certain things. If you have an oven, you can do certain things. So you get the point on that part. Okay, whole. Whole is always better than something that has been refined away when it comes to what Mother Nature intended for us to have. So my whole thing about whole, whether it's whole dairy or whether it's whole plant or whether it's whole animal or any of these pieces, we really want to be thinking about getting the nutrients in a better balance. You'll see I say nutrient balance below. And part of what allows for that nutrient balance is consuming things in their whole food form. Now, I get it. You might want an oil to cook with and not need the whole olive. And that's where we come back to the kitchen process piece. But we do like whole more often, and trying to stay away from things that are free, sugar-free, fat-free, and that whole piece, because that means that the processing, even if it was kitchen processed, has removed certain parts that could be both helpful and healthful to your nutrition. We need plants more often. Every animal needs plants. I shouldn't say every, the majority of animals need plants to do some really important things in the body. In particular for us, all those different colors in nature, they're providing things like our cleanup team, so helping our eyes and our kidneys and our heart and all the different parts of our body be clean, mean, and strong fighting machines, right? We want to make sure that we're cleaning out the cobwebs, we're cleaning out the dirt, and we're letting things run efficiently. Plants also provide us nutrients that are unique to plants that you don't then find in animal, and that's really important too. And then they also provide us different sources. So they have different amino acid balances than the animal protein side, and so they can be helpful and healthful for us in not getting too much of one kind of amino acid or too much of one protein at a time. Nutrient balance and quantity, I'll talk a little bit more about as we go along, but be clear, and I want to be clear that what I mean by nutrient balance is making sure that you're getting a blend of carbohydrate, protein, and healthy fats, as well as non-starchy vegetables, all at one nutrition pit stop and at regular intervals throughout the day, but also nutrient balance of things like magnesium and calcium and sodium and potassium and zinc and chrome and copper, and really looking at the fact that these, and B6, B12, folate, these nutrients actually are meant to be in more of a balance in the body for them to be effective. And so what we don't want to do is throw that balance off by focusing on just one nutrient and not paying attention to others. So that's going to be really important. If you have questions, I have resources. I've created better tools for helping you get better nutrition. So right now is a moment for me to tell you a little bit about two tools that I offer. One tool is the Better Nutrition Plan, which is a 4-step, and it's available through my website. It's a 4-step exercise, and you can either print it out and do it on your own, or it actually is you download it and it's a PDF, and you can write on that PDF, so you can capture your information in there. And basically, it's going to do what I do when I work with any patient. It's going to ask you to start off and look at what are you currently having to eat, drink, and what are you putting in or on your body more often. And we're going to evaluate that over the course of 3 days. And the way that we evaluate that is the next step is I actually teach you about what better nutrition is and isn't. We'll go through that part. And then the third and the fourth steps are to first look at what you're already doing great. Yay, there's stuff that you're already doing better. So we don't want to change that. And in fact, we want to build on that, because the stuff that you're already doing better allows us to understand what else, how we can, and how you're already doing that better will give me really good insights on how I can help you do other things better. And so that fourth step is really about learning to act better, not perfect, more often. And I give you examples and help guide you through that part. Okay. So we've got that as a tool. So other tools that we have on my website are ones that will help you with to evaluate, to really figure out where you are today. And that's how I came up with the ACI method. I turned around and I said, so self, you've been working with patients for about 20 years and your patients are doing really well. Many of them I still work with, I still hear from them, not because it's like a codependent relationship, but because they know that when they need fine tuning or if they have questions, that they can always come to me. And one of the nicest pieces of feedback that I've ever gotten, and I love when I've gotten it repeatedly, so I appreciate when I get this, is that they say to me that you know what, Ashley, there's all this information out there and I come to you because I just don't want to read and deal with stuff unless I know that I need to know it. And if I need to know it, you're going to tell me that I need to know it. So that's one of the things that I do for my patients is I evaluate what is better information for them. And that's also going to be something that I want you to do for yourself, whether or not we're working together. So the way I came up with the ACI method is I looked at, why are my patients succeeding? What do I do? And more importantly, what are they doing? And what are they doing more often that is helping them to be successful? Whether the goal is weight loss, whether the goal is to help them either get pregnant or during their pregnancy, having a healthy child. You know, these are things that I give them credit for. That is not what that's not in my job description, but my job description is certainly to be their better health enabler, to help get them to the door or the place where they need to be and enable that better health. And so in this, the ACI method stands for, and this is what I discovered is really what works better. It stands for, the A is for assess, the K is for, so it's assess where you're at today. Excuse me, the K is for keep what's working. And the other A is for act better, not perfect. And I could add more often. So let me introduce you to what the ACI method is really all about. When I work with a patient, I have them, we spend a lot of time on assessment. They fill out a form before they even come in and see me. And you know what? If you don't fill out that form and send it in, I don't do the appointment. My team knows that I need to know that somebody is at least invested in filling out that form and sending it in. So in that form, I ask them certain questions about themselves. So that's also something that you can do through my Better Nutrition membership, where we're working together, but we're working together in an online format. And the way that we do that there is you can fill out the nutrition plan, you can do the road trip, and you can do the road trip whether or not you're a member, same thing with the nutrition plan. And then I also would go through what I call better evaluations. Now this assessment would be one that would actually be happening in my in the classroom, in the classroom, in the setting of the patient interacting with me directly. And what we would do is we would start to look at what they're having to eat and figure out, so are you meeting your protein goals? How are you doing on your omega-3 fatty acids? How are you doing on different minerals and vitamins, whether it's magnesium, calcium, potassium? How are you doing on water? And then other things, like how are you doing when it comes to a rainbow, right? So I realized there isn't anywhere that people, unless they hire me, there isn't anywhere that people can get these evaluations. And so I actually created them. And they're these one page, some of them are 2 pages, but they're 1 to 2 pages where they just ask you the question. So you can see on there, you know, so when it comes to magnesium, are you having cacao and cashews? And you might say, yeah, you know, I love adding cacao, or I eat a bar of dark chocolate, you know, an ounce or 2. Most days at 3 o'clock. Great. Then you would check off, you know, I'm having it weekly, maybe, or you might check off I'm having it daily. But if you're never having, or if you're only checking it off weekly, that's going to also tell me something, because once weekly is not a more often. I need you to be likely having something more often than that. And then I'll also ask you about your supplements. So 2 of the really, really important evaluations are what supplements are you taking? Because remember, your whole nutrition, your total nutrition needs to be better. And so that includes, as we talked about up front, that includes your supplements. It also includes your foods and your beverages, and it also includes your skincare and your beauty, what's going on your skin more often. And so that's something that I evaluate as part of the Better Nutrition membership, or as part of you being a patient of mine. And then the final piece on that is also your digestive system, because one of the pieces about Better Nutrition is, you know, you are not what you eat, you are what you digest and absorb. So I have to evaluate your digestive system. We have to work together to make sure that your digestive system is working optimally. So we start with the assessment there. And then we figure out, well, what are we going to keep? So we will go through, now we're like in a funnel space, and we're looking at, all right, let me go through all of my assessments, and this is a really fun part. And let me also look at what Better Nutrition is and isn't, which is what I have as part of my nutrition plan. And so it's things like, you know, am I having the nutrient balance I talked about, carbohydrate, protein, healthy fats, non-starchy vegetables? Am I pit stopping regularly throughout the day? So our bodies are designed more like a race car, and race cars pit stop. They don't overfuel at one time or carry around spare fuel. They just put in the amount that they need, and then they come back. Same thing with air in the tires, oil in the engine. We need to be doing the same thing. And so we want to look at, am I doing well on nutrient balance and on frequency? And what about quality? You know, how is my body recognizing what it's getting really easily? Am I putting things into my body that could actually be irritating it or overwhelming it? And speaking of overwhelming it, we want to make sure that we're not giving it too much at one time. So when we learn about what Better Nutrition is and isn't, then we actually look at what we are doing, and that's going to help us figure out what we're already doing better. And that's where the Better Nutrition plan that I was telling you about comes in. And it's also, I include on here the menus, because one of the reasons that we often stop doing something more often is we might get bored. So you might be doing really well with like nutrient balance because you remembered, because like you saw my Facebook Live, you remembered, oh, I'm going to put hemp seeds on my oatmeal. And then at a certain point, you just turn around and say, you know what, it's summer. I don't feel like a bowl of oatmeal with hemp seeds. So I'm just going to have some berries for breakfast, or I'm going to have berries and some yogurt or something like that. And suddenly you're not getting in the same amount of omega-3s, or you're not getting in that elusive but super important gamma-linolenic fatty acid, which is an omega-6 found in hemp and also in wild salmon. And so what I need to do at that instance is help you with menus that correspond to the evaluations and make sure that you're getting in better, more often, better choices of magnesium, calcium, omega-3s, et cetera. So that's how we keep what's working. And then we move over to what needs attention. And one of the things that I find different about the way that I work, and I think it's part of what my secret sauce or what makes me better as a practitioner, is helping people come from a space of saying, so I know that there are all these things that I could be working on. And then I say, well, actually, let's focus. After we've looked at it, you're actually doing a lot of things better. Okay, but there's still things that need attention. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not getting sleep. I'm really stressed out. I'm overeating at dinner. we go through like 15 things, right? So we can't start and create 15 new habits. So one of the things that we have to figure out is how to act better, not perfect, more often begins with really figuring out what needs attention and prioritizing that. So I promise you, if we focus on helping you get better sleep, then many of those other things are actually going to come in line. We tend to eat better at breakfast when we've had better sleep. We tend to eat better throughout the day when we've had better sleep. We tend to feel like exercising when we're not tired. We tend to be more comfortable, with making different choices when we're not tired. Like all of these different things impact it. So my better menus, my nutrition lessons. So if you're a part of the Better Nutrition membership, you get a lesson every week. And then we also have the opportunity to do a consult with me, because you may be looking at the better menus, you may be getting help from me from the nutrition lessons, but you may turn around and say, you know what, I feel like I'm doing a lot of this right and I'm just not getting where I need to be. And that could be because something else is going on for you. Maybe you did the digestive assessment and the tune-up, but your digestive system still may not feel great, or your digestive system may feel great and you're now still not seeing results. And that's why at the end of the day, I maintain a private practice. It's because there are people, many of you, who will benefit from once a year, twice a year working with a dietitian. The way that I work is we do one consult by phone or Skype. If you live in DC, we might do it in person, and then you have unlimited email for the year. So it's a package deal as well, so that I can help you over that course of time. All right, so that's the ACI method. So now we're going to get to, and if you remember, I said Nature's Path. Nature's Path helps me with number one, and in fact, also I will say Natural Vitality, and also Manitoba Harvest, and also True Brock help me. Better nutrition better be delicious, right? So there is no reason for us to consume food on an ongoing basis in the name of it being healthy if we don't like the taste of it. And in fact, it will deduct from your better health. You will not be satisfied. When we are not satisfied, we try to get satisfied and become happy in other ways. And that might be, we might drink alcohol, we might drink more coffee than we need, we might find the sweets more often, we might double down on portion sizes, we might, just turn to other things that are, not even from a food standpoint. For me, I might go shopping, all of these things. It's like you want to turn around and say, okay, my food is meant to nourish my body. And one of the ways that it nourishes it is by being delicious. Better nutrition is also better. It's not perfect. I've talked about that. I just want to reiterate it. That's a really important one. Better nutrition better be based on you. Remember, I just told you about assessments. It's so critical. You do not want to open up a book and say, okay, I'm going to start on page 1 because that's the way the book was written, or I'm going to, in section 1, I'm going to do this. Absolutely not. We need to know who you are right now. You might get to skip ahead to section 9 of a book, or we might realize that book doesn't even fit who you are right now. We've got to make sure that we're doing the assessment, both the evaluations that I have, which also include a better checkup checklist, which you can take to your physician or any healthcare practitioner, your acupuncturist, your, anywhere that you're going. And what it helps you do is figure out what you want to ask them. So you do some work ahead of time, just like I explained I have my patients do. And then you also, after doing that work ahead of time, then you're also going to go in and make sure that you're doing that you're asking the right questions, then getting your answers, the answers that you want. And then also, what do you do with all of that information? And that's going to help you get better nutrition. Better nutrition better be plant-based. So important. I was talking about all the value of plants. And what I mean by plant-based is exactly what I'm saying. It's based in plants. So forget all the pyramids and the food pyramid and the My Plate, and throw that out the door. What should be at the bottom across the board, your foundation needs to be all the plants. And then we can accessorize, kind of like jewelry. We can put if we want cheese, or we want meat, or we want any of these other things, they can be your accessories, and they can add both the flavor so it's delicious and also the nutrients in that way. Okay, better nutrition better fit your budget. we can't go bankrupt trying to get better nutrition. But the reason I put budget there and not, it should not cost less, is that you have to learn to budget for better health. So one of the things that we want to do is make sure that we, from a budgetary standpoint, that we are saying to ourselves, you know, when I eat out, I might choose to eat at a place that costs a little bit more because they're using better quality ingredients. And if I can't go there, if I can't afford that often, then I should not be eating out as often, rather than compromising my health by compromising on my nutrition and eating somewhere that makes less good quality products. And then from a budget standpoint at home, it's learning about things like frozen, for example, which are, there was just a research study, and it's great on that part, showing that there are more nutrients in frozen and just how great frozen is for us. But also I find frozen such a better health enabler for me because it means it's always available. And then another one is better nutrition includes better quality. These are my 4 pillars, the 4 core of better nutrition. Includes better quality, includes better quantity, includes better nutrient balance, and includes better frequency. And I just talked quite a bit about that in the last slide. Okay, so moving right along, you'll notice I have some more, in addition to my 4 core partners, I have some additional friends that are joining the party here. And these are some of the ones that I work with on a smaller basis, but I think that they have really important messages to deliver and are really part of enabling better health. And in some instances, I'm even creating products with them, helping influence their new product development, or just super happy that they're doing new things so that I can consume them more often. So for example, Perfect Foods Bar, they just launched Chew Chocolate. After all this time, my world just really did get more perfect with chocolate. But you know, as a bar, the bar category is really complicated, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about what makes them from a Perfect Foods Bar really one of my more perfect choices. Megafood really is a game changer in the dietary supplement space by using real food from real amazing farms across the country, like Lundberg Family Farms and Foxy Produce and Matt's Organic, and all of these ones that I've always recommended to people to choose the food products. And now they're using those ingredients to get those ingredients into the dietary supplements that help to work as support and help us build a better foundation. And we'll talk about that. Rebel is like, I always think of like, with a rebel yell. And I love that part, because in order for us to yell, and like, you know, with the rebel yell, like the rebel in all of us is the one that just really wants to thrive, right? We want to thrive. And the way that we thrive is by making sure that our individual body has more of what it needs to function better. And these are these totally delicious beverages that you can grab and go, or you can use at home for and use even in like take one beverage and use it across several different eating occasions, or make 4 servings if you're serving 4 people. But they're helping us to get adaptogens in more often and more plants. So one of the power of a certain class of plants, the adaptogens, are the ones that actually help our bodies to adapt better, because these plants, these herbs, have had to thrive in parts of the world that you would never think something could thrive and grow, not just grow and survive, but thrive nutritionally. And so they're doing that for our body. And I have a whole webinar dedicated to that, so I highly recommend you check it out. And then Smarty Pants. Smarty Pants is so fun for me because as a kid, I lived in England for a little bit, and I had a nanny who would take me to the park and say, Smarty for my Smarty. And for me, that Smarty was their version of M&Ms. And so I was not necessarily getting better nutrition. I will say that their M&Ms were made of better ingredients than ours were. So the Smarties were a little bit smarter. But Smarty Pants is one step further on that. Smarty Pants vitamins are gummies and pretty soon chews, and part of that is my collaboration with them. But they're a way to make sure that we're getting in those hard to get nutrients more often. And by doing it, you know, gummy is a candy. They're using sugar in there. But they're using better quality sugar, and then they're free from, or they're using better quality sugar, and they're free from all the things that we don't want to see. So they're not using artificial colors, they're not using GMOs, they're not using funky binders, and they're using really good quality forms of the ingredients. And so they've been a great way to fill, you know, to help my patients make sure that they're getting better nutrition more often, depending on maybe it's age, lifestyle, or just preference in that way. and then Bella and I did, oh, it was such a fun webinar on better seafood and better heart health with my friend Rick Moonen. So we have an entire webinar on that. But Bella brand seafood is phenomenal. I am such a fan of sardines, and I promise I could make you into one too. I actually just ate for lunch spinach with hemp seeds and sardines. So I merged the plant world and the animal kingdom, and I got so many great nutrients as a result. But I don't really even care about that because I just loved the taste of my salad. So if you don't love sardines, you might want to try mackerel and also tuna, but they're really focused on where their fish is coming from, clean, protected waters, and by bringing you the small fish, every bite is just a big bang of nutrition. And then also the other ingredients, so using organic oils and putting them in better containers and all that good stuff. So if you can imagine, none of those were my case studies, but I wanted to introduce you to all those companies. So some of the different case studies I wanted to talk about is better nutrition should be better plant-based. So if you look here, with the exception of Bella, everybody is offering something from a plant-based standpoint. Now, Bella, I just told you, totally phenomenal, but that's the way that our world should look. What we should have is, and some people go 80-20, 90-10, all of that stuff. To me, it's not about percentages. I prefer the description of like your whole outfit, and then thinking about your jewelry or your accessories should be on the animal front. And the reason that I put this in here as a case study is I think it's really interesting that we have so many debates about like what is quote unquote the best diet, because we really do know that the better diet is a plant-based one. And the reason I have evidence for that is if we look everywhere around the world that we study in terms of longevity, all of their diets are plant-based too. And the animals that they are consuming are also animals that are consuming, if they're consuming animal, are also animals that are consuming plants. So some of the things that I love to do, I mentioned before, just taking hemp seeds. So one of the ways that I make a diet a better diet, and I have a client that I recommend this to who definitely travels more than I do. But if you're eating out, or even if you're home and you're trying to figure out how do I feed different people with different palates. So if you are, whether it's a taco bar, whether it's a salad, whether it's the going and having breakfast, and you're wanting to have making different choices at breakfast. One of the easy things, and both Nature's Path and Manitoba are great at helping on this part, is just that addition of hemp in with other whole grains, like with Nature's Path with their chia. You can get buckwheat and chia also in there. And with Manitoba, they have the hemp heart toppers, so you can do things like get in different spices so that you can get in different flavor, but also the nutritional benefits of those. And what you should do there is swap that, enjoy when you're home and you can choose better quality. And if you want to enjoy things like a chicken sausage or a pork sausage, or whatever you want to have on that part. But when you're out and you don't know that it's better quality, that's where you can swap out the plant-based choices that I was talking about. And that's how we know better plant-based is part of better nutrition. Better fast food, whether it's Perfect Foods Bar, whether it's Rebel, Manitoba Harvest, Nature's Path, and really Smarty Pants, Megafood, Natural Vitality, all of these guys are in the business of enabling better fast food. Because the reality is we want to be able to grab things and take them with us, or get things when we're out. And both Perfect Foods Bar and Rebel can be found in the grocery store in the refrigerated section. I'm hoping that more and more often we'll be able to see them also at in convenience stores, when you're going to the gas stations, etc. But one of the things I do with my Perfect Foods Bars, I also freeze them and then take them with me, especially if I'm traveling. And with better fast food, what we need to realize, and I'm going to also talk about better liquid nutrition right now, and I can even add in better total nutrition, is that these are just the forms or the situational need. They don't change what better nutrition is and isn't. So they still need to be held up to better quantity, better quality, better nutrient balance. And that's going to be really important. So a lot of the bars that I see on the market might have too much carbohydrate or not enough protein, or they might have added into them, and none of the ones that I'm showing here do, but they might have added into them actually a vitamin supplement or a mineral supplement or something in a form that isn't actually from food, or that is a higher amount. Remember, we talked about nutrient balance. It could be throwing off some of the nutrients. And so what we really want to do is make sure that we're getting food more often, and that with better fast food needs to be better nutrition. And so whether it's the vegan or whether it's the non-vegan but plant-based choices that Perfect Foods Bar offers, or whether in Rebel, everything is plant-based, and then they actually add in a protein powder, so in a couple of them, so that you do get more of the protein. Or in Manitoba Harvest, they have the protein powders that you can add into, you can blend it with your favorite nut milk, or any of these things. So these are all ways that we can make things that are grab and go and are better fast food. And I even include my Natural Vitality, my packet of my Calm or the cream. I include both of those in my world of better fast food, because it's about better total nutrition. What we want to remember, it's about what goes in and on you more often. And that's why you'll see supplement companies here, and you'll also see food companies. What you don't see are companies that are doing a lot of fortification of the foods, or really any of the fortification, because my preference is actually that we get ingredients from food, or if we want to supplement, that we supplement with ingredients that are from food or in the better quality form, but we're clear that we're using those in the supplemental form. And so when you look at your better total nutrition, it really needs to be about, as I talked in the beginning, about what goes in and on your body more often. So that would be that combination of the multi that you might take, or the bone support that you might take, or the CoQ10 that you might take, or any of these, like an individual or a complex of nutrients, as well as the whole food. And that's why when we're doing our evaluations, those evaluations that I have on my website, the Better Nutrition evaluations, I'm asking questions about all of those things. Okay. Better digestion and detoxification and stress, they all go together. I talked about them earlier, but I just want to restate that our bodies have a detoxification system, and our body needs that, because it processes all of the toxins that naturally will occur through the normal workings of our body, or also the ones that we are exposed to. But that's not great. I mean, that's helpful, but if our digestive system isn't working optimally, there is no chance that all of those toxins are going to get eliminated appropriately. So better digestion, we need to think about everything from having enough water going in us, to also having enough of core nutrients, like I've mentioned magnesium, like Natural Vitality, or omega-3s, which you can get from your hemp, which is in Manitoba and in Nature's Path, and from your better seafood from Bella, and in Smarty Pants. They also have they have your EPA and your DHA, so some of the omega-3s. So it's a really important way to be able to get all of those in. And there are many other nutrients that help to support optimal or better digestion. And then better stress, I already talked about as it relates to Natural Calm and magnesium. Okay, so Matt, I think we got ourselves through to the question part, and that was a lot of information. And so what I want to, before we discuss questions, which I'll do in a second, one of the things that I want to talk about on here are my resources. And you'll notice that for listeners at any point in time that you're listening to this, because you've taken the time to invest and listen in this webinar, we'd love to offer you a discount on the membership. I also want to remind you to send me, if you're on social media, to tag anything Better Not Perfect, so I can see what you're up to, and also to remember to strive for Better Not Perfect. And then any of the resources, whether you're looking to join the membership or to go on a road trip, which is my new workbook and audio program that will help you work with me so that we can figure out where you are today and where you want to go, and then put together a roadmap and actually help you get out on the road and get where you want to go better and faster and more efficiently. So we've got that, and we also have my nutrition plan. So a lot of different things and a lot of different resources, including better recipes that are part of the Better Nutrition membership on my website. So we've got all of those resources, and I also recommend the brands that I mentioned before earlier in the webinar as resources too. I share a lot of their content on my social media, so if you're not already following me on Facebook at Ashley Koff RD LLC or Ashley Koff Approved, please do, because I also do weekly Facebook Lives. I answer questions in Ashley's office hours, and I also in addition to answering questions, I also do take on different topics. And so you can see that there live, or you can catch me after, and it's in my video playlist. So you can check out the different topics that we have on that part. And then the final piece with when it comes to all of this is every month I do a webinar, and I'm talking about the different components of better nutrition. And one of the ones that I get a lot of questions about is how to be plant-based and how to have a better plant-based diet, but what is better plant-based nutrition? So I'll be answering that and having a great conversation on April 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern, so I hope you will join. And on that note, I am seeing that, oh, I think we're actually out of time. So I have a feeling I'm going to be answering some of the questions that came up in today's webinar over on Facebook. So I will have you join us over there. Matt, do you have anything else that we need to go through?
No, that's great. Thank you very much, Ashley. Like Ashley said, our next webinar, April the 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to sign up for that one. Thank you, Ashley. This webinar will be up on Ashley's YouTube page and her website next week. So feel free to check that out if you need to. And we will see you next month. Thanks, everyone.